of course, the Dallas Cowboys, a lot of nonsense going on down there. They haven't signed any of their 3 stars that need deals or want deals. CeeDee Lamb, the wide receiver, Micah Parsons, the great defensive player, and, of course, the quarterback, Dak Prescott. Stephen Jones has spoken recently. They sent a contract to Dak and CeeDee, and I know Stephen Jones has said they just received a counter from CeeDee, so, we'll see how that ends up. But he also spoke to Albert Breer about how things are going with Dak, and Rob G is going to read this quote from Stephen Jones for us.
Yeah, so it was part of a longer form column by Albert Breer, is his weekly mailbag column, and he's talking about Dak Prescott's future with the Cowboys. And a reader had asked him, what are the chances you think that Dak leaves us next offseason? And Albert Breer surprisingly said he put about 10%. So he's inferring, then suggesting 90% chance that not only does Dak stay with Dallas, but that the deal gets done this season or even before this season. And he referenced a quote that he had during a conversation with Stephen Jones from last week. Here's what Jones said about the ongoing quarterback market. He said, quote, "It seems like it's hit a peak. It used to be everybody was jumping each other. Lawrence got 55, which was the high water mark that Burrow set. Before, it didn't matter if you were the best, if you were Mahomes, you just leapfrog the next guy. You're not seeing that now, and it's kind of hit a ceiling." That led Breer to suggest that because these contracts are all kind of staying around the same number, that would increase heavily the chances that Dak stays in Dallas.
Well, he's right about that because Jimmy Garoppolo was the highest paid player in the league. Matthew Stafford was the highest paid player in the league. So he's right that doesn't seem to be automatic anymore just for the next good quarterback who's up. So I agree with him on that. I still think Dak's right now, Dak wants more than anybody's getting paid out there. And right now probably will get it. But here's where I want to go with this, Sean. For years, I felt like most of his career, I was like, man, Dak Prescott should thank God, should count his blessings that he is the Dallas Cowboys quarterback. And I've never said he's not good. He is good and he's very good. But I've always said he would not be nearly as famous. He would not have the endorsement profile that he has right now if he were not the Cowboys quarterback. Dak Prescott is a celebrity. Dak Prescott is one of the most known players in football because he's the Dallas Cowboys quarterback. But recently, over the last several months, I've started to change my tune a little bit on this. And I'm feeling like, you know what? If the Cowboys, Sean, are looking at this as a prove-it year for Dak, show us what you can do. We've given you a lot of talent. You haven't been able to get even to the conference championship game. Prove it. This is a prove-it year for you. I think Dak should be looking at the Cowboys like, yeah, and it's a prove-it year for you too. Because I really am starting to believe now, Sean, that if Dak Prescott, let's say this season goes the way that all the Cowboy seasons seem to go, and they have a good regular season and bow out in the first or second round of the playoffs. And if there are legitimate, strong franchises out there that are willing to pay Dak Prescott what Dallas will pay or more, I'm talking about the Steelers. It doesn't work out with Fields or Wilson this year. They want Dak. I'm talking about the Giants. If Malik Neighbors, the rookie wide receiver, shows some promise this year and they look decent, whether they bring in a Belichick or a Vrabel or even stick with Dable, could Dak go there? Obviously, that's a legitimate franchise. You're in a big market still. Maybe the Raiders. I think they got some, they're not the best run franchise, but if they show promise with Antonio Pierce, who I like, you obviously have Devontae Adams. If they have a decent year and things are looking up under Antonio, that's another place. I just think, Sean, that Dak Prescott would benefit from going to a football franchise and not a production company that plays football, which is what I think the Dallas Cowboys are. I think a place that's football first, second, and third. No nonsense. We here to play football. And Mike Tomlin, I would love to see Dak in Pittsburgh. I think that would benefit him because even though I don't think he's like a top 5 quarterback, I do think he's a guy you can win
10.
You win a Super Bowl with him.
Yeah.
So do you agree with me? Like, I think he needs to really think about this and get away from the circus that is Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys.
I think it would help Dak immensely in between the lines to get somewhere else, to kind of leave some of that accumulated baggage in Dallas, kind of go somewhere that's been dying for a quarterback, say Sam Darnold and J.J. McCarthy don't work out in Minnesota, go into Minnesota, somewhere like that. Here's the problem with the implementation.
They probably going to give McCarthy a shot,
Yeah, but here's the problem with the implementation of what you said, even though what you said was the truth. The National Football League has the most ineffective players union of any of the big 3 pro sports.
Agreed.
They got manhandled in the collective bargaining agreement and allowed the owners to put the greatest poison pill we've ever seen when it comes to contract fairness in professional sports, and that's the franchise tag. So at the end of the day, any of these guys that have years remaining on their contract, it's not even, okay, let me acquiesce to what the team wants and play my contract out, and then I'll be free and I can enter the open market and have the teams you mentioned get in a bidding war.
Well, they can't franchise Dak, though.
The Cowboys can't franchise Dak?
No, Rob G, there's a clause in his contract, I believe.
That is correct. He will be a free and clear 100% no taggable free agent.
Is he the only player in the NFL that has that?
He might be, because he negotiated in his last contract. He did 2 things. He took no tagging, and he took a shorter deal than most people were taking.
Well, smart play by Dak. Yep. In that instance, then if I'm Dak, I don't sign with the Cowboys no matter what they offer.
Really?
Because I want a bidding war.
And that's not because of money.
It's strictly money.
Oh, well, now what about, okay,
if
I feel you on that.
If I'm negotiating,
get more money.
Right. If I'm negotiating with just Dallas, I can't counter with another offer. If I'm an unrestricted free agent and Dallas wants to keep me, Dallas is no longer in a position of power if they really want to keep me, because somebody else is offering me something. I didn't realize he had the only contract with the no franchise tag clause. I can actually leave now.
No, I agree with that. But what I'm asking you, let's say take out the money. Do you think he should even not sign with them just because, man, I might want to move on from this circus to you?
It's kind of like the gift and the curse, because you mentioned the playoff failures, and I mean, it's evident that that's the issue regarding Dak Prescott. If you look at his regular season numbers, I think he's been in the league. This is year 9. He's averaged about 3,700 yards, 25 touchdowns, 8 or 9 picks. So he's been a really good quarterback consistently in the regular season. He's failed in the playoffs, but here's the silver lining. Here's the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. If you can bring another championship to Dallas, you elevate your Q rate and your level of celebrity. I mean, you're up there, with the LeBron James and such of professional sports.
No, I agree. And there is a incredible benefit to playing for the Dallas Cowboys. It's almost like, they've been historically, obviously, a much better franchise than the Knicks. But it's kind of like that same situation where if you lead the Knicks to a championship,
right, you're gold.
It'll count for at 2 in another place, right? And so I agree with that with the Cowboys. I just wonder, though, I personally feel, some people disagree with me, that Jerry Jones has created a culture there that makes it difficult to win at the highest level. I don't think football is the primary. I've always said this, Sean. You know how Bull Durham was a movie? It wasn't a baseball movie.
Right.
It was a movie, a drama that revolved around baseball.
Absolutely.
Love and Basketball it was a love story that revolved around basketball. I think the Cowboys are like a drama, a soap opera that revolves around football.
Here's the only pushback I would give you, and I get what you're saying. But how is that a bad thing for a player in a league where you perform with a helmet on? And then I would ask, which of these Cowboy teams have underachieved?
Well, I think several of these in the playoffs have underachieved.
Listen, all of the blame falls on Dak.
Last year, they clearly underachieved.
But they weren't better than...
They were better than Green Bay.
They weren't playing better on that particular day.
Well,
I think they should have won, too.
No, not that day. They looked terrible. But they had won, 15 or 16 straight games at home.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And Green Bay was incredibly young. I just feel like the constant, the circus atmosphere. I've heard reporters talk about actors being at training camp and people walking through the building when you're working out and coming in and taking pictures or staying out and, look through the glass taking pictures. I just think that those are distractions. And when you're talking about world-class athletes, a distraction, Sean, you know this. I mean, let's look at track and field. The difference between winning gold and not even medaling in the 100 meters will maybe be 1/10 of a second. And that's the difference between these great athletes. The difference between a solid, quarterback and even a superstar it's not that huge. You know what I'm saying? You're all these guys, including you when you played, all of y'all are in the 99th percentile of world athletes. And so the difference between winning and losing is slight. So those constant distractions, I think that it's just a bad culture, and I think it takes away from the team just enough to keep them from winning.
I think you make some good points, but Chris, at the end of the day, I'd rather be somewhere where they care too much than be somewhere where they don't care at all.
I don't know that they care too. I think they care about winning. Or no, I'm sorry. I think they care about making money.
But I'm talking about more than just the organization. I'm talking about the fan base, the city.
Value be high.
But I'm talking about the fan base, the city, the expectations. You're not just leaving Jerry Jones. You're also leaving the most passionate fan base in all of professional football.
Well, I agree in that it's a national fan base.
Right. The Cowboy fans are everywhere.
I agree.
But no matter what,
Steelers
they
are
never
passionate.
lose hope.
The Giants are passionate. Most
the Cowboy
NFL
fan
fans are
base,
passionate, but the Cowboys are national.
And the Cowboys are the most delusional fan base. Every year, they are confident they're winning it. It's years where the Giants and Jets and some of these other passionate fan bases be like, I know we're going to be terrible.
Realistic.
Right.
Yeah, it's interesting, but